Hi everybody, Z from Sad Panda Games here with another video for you. Not sure when this video will actually go up, since I am currently having a little bit of internet trouble right now. I don't know why. I think it might be the storm that's happening outside. It might actually be affecting my internet, which sucks to say the least. But this video, as you'll probably see in the title, is episode 8.5 of my Let's Play of Evil Within 2. And I done goofed. So me and my friend Caleb, who's Calzin, that's his tag. He used to go by Caleb6197, but now it's Calzin. Or Calzine, I think. I don't know. Whatever it is, that doesn't really matter right now. But I done goofed because we were talking about recording, and we were talking about my recordings mostly specifically, and also his past recordings and how we used to record in the past. So it was a suggestion that he made because I'm having issues with recording. They're not issues with the recording itself. It's just with the amount of space that the recording takes up on my hard drive. So I'm having issues with space management, basically. So Caleb was like, well, why don't you just use the old format that we used to record in? Because we used to record in AVI format. So anybody who's done any kind of video recording before probably knows that there's a bunch of different types of formats that you can video record in. And some of them have different file sizes and different resolutions that you can use to actually record that particular thing. So since there's a bunch of different resolutions and everything, and all these different file types and the different sizes and things, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll try AVI and see if it takes up less space. Well, I forgot to, before I recorded again, I forgot to test to make sure that my video editing softwares that I have, and I have several on my computer. I still have the old video editing software that I was having issues with before, as well as my newer video editing software that I use now on my computer still. So since I still had it all on my computer, I was going to test and make sure that the AVI format was going to be an accepted format by my editor. And I didn't really think that it wasn't going to be, because it's a pretty common video format. But there were other problems that arose. For some reason, my recording software, which is Bandicam, which is a great recording software, by the way. I fully recommend using Bandicam. It's a great little recording software. I've never really had a whole lot of huge issues with Bandicam being my recording software. I mean, I've had issues with XSplit and OBS in the past. I still use OBS because that's what I use for streaming, but of course I don't stream because my internet connection is normally bad for streaming because of my low upload speed. But that's beside the point. So I tried to pull the AVI files after I'd already recorded an hour and a half of Evil Within 2. I decided to try to pull those recordings into my video editor because I completely forgot that I had changed the settings on my program before going and doing the recordings. So I did an hour and a half worth of recording, and I was like, okay, I've got 3 video files here. I'm going to go ahead and pop them in and see if I can edit them. Because I recorded 3 different episodes. So I've decided that my episodes are going to be cut down to a half an hour a piece. So I was going to do that, but then for some reason it just would not load into my video editing program. I'm like, well, what's going on? And then I realized that it was an AVI format. I'm like, oh no, something happened. Well, the first video file completely would not load into my editing software. I'm like, well, that's fine. I can just do a small little recap at the beginning of the next recording and be like, this is what happened in the video that you didn't get to see because it won't be it. I can't edit it. And of course, I could just put up the raw footage from it, but that raw footage wouldn't have any of my talking points in it or my webcam or anything, because I have to edit all that together, because it doesn't all get recorded as one file on my computer. So then I tried to pull the second file in, and it pulled in, but then I noticed something wrong with the second file, was that the second file didn't get fully recorded for some reason. For some reason, it stopped recording the video file at a certain extent. I don't know if it's maybe a setting that I missed in Bandicam that told it to stop recording when it reached a certain size or a certain length and time. I'm not sure. But it only had just a little over half the episode actually recorded, and I'm like, oh no. So now I have this other half of the next episode that I can't edit because it's just not there. The recording isn't there anymore. And the same thing happened with the third file. For some reason, it stopped at a certain extent, and it's never done that before. So I'd done Goofed, and basically all 3 of the episodes that I had recorded are unusable. I can't edit them together. I can't do anything about it. So I decided to make this little video to explain what happened, as well as to just then get into the meat of things of what actually happened during that time, to kind of catch you guys up on, if you're actually watching my series, on what happened in between episode 8 and what will be happening in episode 9. So basically what happened was I did end up going into the theater, and at the end of the theater level, which was basically a lot of the creepy hallways and things, was the segment that really reminded me of Batman Arkham Asylum, specifically the Scarecrow levels, where Scarecrow's this giant person and you have to hide from his light. And there was kind of a stealth segment where you had to get through without being spotted, and I died several times during it because I kept getting spotted and being crushed by the giant eye in the sky's tentacles. But then once I finally got through that, at the end of that little section was a fight with Stefano, the guy with the camera who had been killing everybody and freezing them in time as he killed them. So I fought Stefano and beat him on the first try, which is odd to say the least. I beat him on the first try, which was wonderful. Or was it the second try? I think actually it was the second try, because he did get me, because I hadn't healed up from before right away, and I had really low health, and he got me with the knife once. So then I decided to go ahead and do it again, and I got him on the second try. At the end of that, I really wish this would have been recorded, because this is there was this huge cutscene at the end. There was also a really awesome cutscene before the Stefano site in the actual theater with Stefano that unfortunately did not get recorded, so I can't post it, or I can't put images of it or anything like that. And but after I beat Stefano, there was a cinematic that happened where this lady who looked a lot like Mira, which is supposed to be Sebastian's wife from the first game, which if you played the first game and played the DLC content of the first game, you know that Mira is still alive at the end of the first game. So it looks a lot like Mira, but her eyes are kind of like missing and look like kind of wire meshy, I guess, and that nasty white stuff is kind of dripping off of her everywhere, and she's wearing this really long white robe. But she comes and steals Lily from the theater, because Stefano had Lily there with him. And she steals Lily from the theater and goes down this hole that opens up in the ground, and then Sebastian, of course, jumps in after them. And I would say that that's where it ended, but it's not. That's where the second episode ended. The first episode was me doing the precursor things for getting into the theater, and then the second episode was me going through the theater and the Stefano fight. And the third episode was me starting down in the depths below, which looked like really old sewers and torture chambers that I was going through. And there was some segments with monsters and things, and there was this voice that was talking to me, and I speculate that that voice that was talking to me, if you've seen the announcement trailers and things like that for this, I speculate that it is the like priest or preacher person from those videos that is talking to you during that segment. And I got a good ways through it, and then I stopped. I was like, okay, here's where I'm going to stop, and I stopped it at a pretty good spot. I can't remember exactly what I was doing when I stopped, but I know that I was in Sebastian's room, his detective office room, where you can go and upgrade and things like that. So that's where the next episode, episode 9, is going to be picking up from. It's going to be picking up from there, because I'm changing back to what I was recording with before, and I'll just have to find a different way to record my stuff and have better space management for my recordings. Not to mention the fact that the AVI file format didn't really reduce the file size that much. It maybe saved a gig or two on each video file. So it wasn't all that much compared to what I do when I render, whether I'm rendering in 480p or 720 or whatever. Those files are extremely tiny, and it actually compresses the video files from before down a lot to a lot smaller now that I've gotten more of my video editor figured out. I'm still slowly learning more things about the video editor that I'm currently using, and I'm still loving the current video editor that I'm using. I mean, it doesn't have all of the functionality that I wish that it had, or if it does, I just don't know where to find that functionality quite yet. But so far, it seems to be working out pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with the end results that I've been getting as I've been slowly figuring new things out. But anyways, this video is going on a little bit longer than what I originally intended it to go, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here, but I just wanted to give you guys this heads up on why there's a pretty big time jump between episode 8 and episode 9, and what happened and why that is the case. And hopefully it doesn't completely break your immersion on the video series, but if it does, I'm sorry. I don't have a way to go back and re-record it because the game auto-saves, and as well as I saved over my previous save file as well. And that previous save file was an autosave during that time, so that I no longer have the recordings for. So either way, I can't go back and re-record it, except for just replaying the entire game again to get to that same point again, and I'm not going to do that. I may at some point do it again to show off that section, but I'm sure there's other... I hate saying this, but I'm sure there's other videos out there that you can watch that show that particular section of the game. But, oh well, I guess it's just one section of the game that you guys aren't going to get to see, which kind of sucks in my opinion, because the Stefano fight was kind of great. I absolutely loved the mechanics in the Stefano fight, and it wasn't incredibly difficult, but it was unique in how it worked and the way Stefano moved and talked to you during the fight and the different skills that were used during it. So it was neat in that regard, and I do wish that I could show you guys it, but unfortunately it didn't even end up getting recorded. So anyways, I do want to thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys next episode.